So we're here with Emily Wicks and Sandy Chafouleas of Feel Your Best Self, and kicking off the podcast slash
the competition-based podcast series
that ultimately will culminate for the Shaping CT's Future event on entrepreneurship, and 2 finalists will pitch live for cash prize and services. And we're excited. We think this will be, something that adds to the event series for sure. So Emily, Sandy, thank you for coming in. And
thank you.
How about just a little bit of a background on both of you?
Sure. My name is Emily Wicks, and I actually work at a museum of puppetry, which is kind of unique. And I'll let Sandy introduce herself.
Sure. I'm Sandy Chafouleas. I'm a psychologist. I work in schools, professor for a long time, do all the stuff in emotions.
So where was the inspiration for Feel Your Best?
Yeah, so Feel Your Best Self came out of COVID. I was working at my museum of puppetry, and we were trying to shift our puppet building workshops to an online environment. But we also wanted them to be beneficial to teachers and kids who were kind of, in these uncertain times and just felt a little scared and unsure of things. So my team was reaching out to different educational psychologists to kind of think about best practices and see how we could collaborate. And that's how I happened upon Dr. Sandy Chafouleas here and her research on emotion coping strategies. She had already identified 12 strategies that she thought were really easy and engaging for kids to use. And we brainstormed up this idea, maybe a crazy idea, to bring puppets into the mix to make it more fun and engaging.
Definitely crazy.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just wondering, so before you met Sandy, when you were at the Museum of Puppetry, was there any kind of therapeutic or academic focus to the work you were doing there? Or did that kind of coalesce when you met?
Yeah, it definitely grew with this project. Before that, I was at a museum that was tied to an educational puppetry program for college students. And we did workshops for younger kids. So I would have school groups come in, or we would go out and do workshops. But this really gave us a content focus, this idea of bringing wellness into the mix, because creativity and joy lend themselves so well to emotion coping strategies.
Sandy, was your work always focused on children, or?
Yeah, I'm a psychologist by training, always worked with kids, mostly in school settings. My focus area, and as the geeky research part, is on emotions and emotion coping. And, as Emily said, the part that was kind of freaking us out, and we were talking about whether this was a great idea or a silly idea or coming out of COVID, is that psychology can be scary for people in terms of thinking about how do you cope with emotions, and the solutions people were talking about coming out of COVID, coming back into schools, coming back into real life, were just way too complex. And so we have to figure out, how do we bring joyful exploration, is what we talk about, in trying out things and seeing what works for you.
What's your feelings been? Maybe because the age my children are right now, and maybe yours too, but the explosion of Miss Rachel and Blippi and Mika and Handyman Hal and Miss Katie from Canada.
And the list goes on.
Yeah, right. But are they, when you catch that, are you saying, this is not, sort of scientifically or this isn't psychologically backed, this is just...
some of the stuff that's out there in emotions is not, right? It's again, all of those programs are great in serving the purposes that they do, but some of the folks have gotten out there and talked about hey, big feelings are hard. And okay, so what's your theory behind that? What's the evidence and the science behind that? And I think that's what's so great about this partnership, because we do bring that science, but bring it in a creative and joyful way.
I wonder, what about Bluey? Bluey seems like it's pretty good with the emotion exploration.
I find Bluey really interesting. I have a nephew who was obsessed, and I thought Bluey was really interesting because it resonated with both kids and adults, right? My brother and sister-in-law have bluey sweatshirts and like would watch along. You know, the kid would fall asleep, but they were still watching. And I think when we thought about Feel Your Best Self, we wanted it to be the same thing because emotion coping should not just be for the kids, us as adults. And during COVID, especially, we were all dealing with anxiety and uncertainty. And so Feel Your Best Self wants to allow both kids and adults to co-learn, co-explore, and find strategies that work well for them.
Like anyone with a 3-year-old, like we're in the same situation where it's just like, I am trying to cope with this irrational little tyrant, you know? And it's just like, I need him to become a rational human being.
You're talking about yourself though, right? Just checking.
My 3-year-old self.
Sam has big feelings.
I do have big feelings. I also think Bluey, by the way, I think Bandit set some pretty lofty expectations about the availability and willingness to do every single game that the kids propose. And I'm just putting that out there for the masses. So anyway, sorry.
So what do you see as the future? Well, what's the opportunity here that you're charging toward?
Well, I think that's the part that we started off with saying, as silly as this crazy, right? Because we didn't come into this partnership thinking that we were going to be here a couple of years later, past COVID, and create a business. We started working and doing the things that we were creating in school districts right near us to help teachers and kids and parents as they were, again, coming back. And the response we can't even understand how astounding it has been in terms of the global uptake and interest in our characters, in the simplicity of the strategies that we see people walking around with. I see my colleagues, grown up people in different strange spaces carrying around our strategy cards and practicing things, or people know, like, okay, can you shake out the yuck? You can already picture in your head what that means, right? Yeah. But there's like a scientific basis behind that. We've just turned it and translated it into something super simple, super easy that you can take with you wherever you go.
What about like the business model when you guys first got together? Because this could be something you could monetize. This could be a charitable endeavor.
Yeah.
Like, how did you guys kind of like approach the thinking behind like, what is this business going to look like and what do we want it to do?
That's been an interesting struggle that we go back and forth with a lot, right? Because we didn't come into this starting as a business. We came out to put things out on our YouTube channel and on our website that anybody could access. And the demand or the request from people then for the supporting products is what propelled us to say, okay, maybe this is a business model that we should launch. How do we build on the freemium model and create something that provides things at different price points? I think that's really important for us to still continue with, to make it accessible for everybody, but allow us to have a business.
How did you come up with CJ, Nico, and Mina,
yeah. That was a long kind of back and forth process. And again, it was happening during COVID. So Sandy and I didn't actually get to meet in person.
Yeah, we never met until we were shooting.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh, really?
How long did you know each other before you met in person?
We didn't.
Oh, before we met probably met a year or two working online before we got to film in 2022.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. I mean, it was that wild COVID world. So we were lucky enough to work with some alumni of the Puppet Arts program that I work alongside. And it was a back and forth thinking about these characters, what we wanted them to look like. We wanted them to be characters that you could find a little bit of yourself in each of them. I like to think of myself as Mina, kind of sometimes was the big sister type, a little bit geeky, liked basketball. But CJ, I appreciate their love of baking and their kind of worrying sense, and then the energy of Nico. And so we tried to create characters that would be relatable to all the kids and fun and engaging to watch on screen.
And for me as a psychologist, boy, that was a totally, I said it was like going to the optometrist, because we'd meet with the designers and say A or B in the eye shape, right? Mm-hmm. Or C or D. And we just constantly go through this over and over again. And, the bigger question that we do get is, well, why are there 3 main characters? And that's what we could afford, to be honest with you, in the puppet world. And so for us to try and design diversity of characters and characteristics and personality traits into 3 main characters is what we really.
Oh, you should
struggled with.
you should sell it as strategic. Like there's all the research that people like things in threes, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, it's a nice number. Yeah.
But there's also room to, new character additions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
There are a couple of friends that appear within different series in different ways, and a couple of grown-ups, but the grown-ups really are not front and center. It's about the kids, really, the puppet kids teaching each other.
Yeah.
Have you used your sort of background in the way in which you've sort of film it, or you use segment skits, or in addition to sort of the frameworks? I mean, I guess depending upon who you believe or whatnot, or the way Coco Melon is produced is addictive for kids. So have you sort of
No, we did it on our own. I have to tell you, my degree in psychology did not prepare me to be an executive producer of a puppet show. That's for sure. But we're learning as we go along.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think, by accident or not, what's beautiful about something like Bluey, as you said before, is the opportunity to co-experience. And so that was always foundational to us, even though I didn't know what Bluey was before we got started, if that makes sense. Because my kids are older. Right? My kids are older. We're watching other things.
Well, I tried to find when I first started having them watch TV, I tried to find like our old cartoons, and like they've wiped them from the internet because like they're super inappropriate. I guess if you really go back to it, they were pretty bad. But
it got a bit dicey. So we met you guys through Jen Matthew. And the Connecticut Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation, and they, Jen, Alicia, they're our partners with this. Tell me about one, how did you get involved with that, and two, what was the state of your business at that point, and then what was the change that occurred after you went through the
Oh, I'm just going to start by saying we were a total mess, right? Like we had no idea because, again, we're talking puppets here and psychology, right? There's no business background or expertise. We didn't come in this as wonderful salespeople and understand all the different things other than watching a couple episodes of Shark Tank as we grew up. Right? So CCI in particular was just amazing. In particular, we started with the I-Core programs the summer before. We had applied into the CCI program, and Michelle Cody in particular was just, I think because she had young kids too, right, understood what we were trying to do and what we could do, and going into apply to the program and be accepted the program and be the winner of the competition it's just surreal. We still wonder oh my gosh. Although half the time we do say, hey, can we go back and do it again? Because I think we need to pay more attention to that particular day of lectures, because it's a fire hose of everything maybe you all know in business, but not us.
Are you guys flying solo now with the business as a whole, or do you have consultants or a board or mentors? Or how are you approaching kind of that, your own kind of personal growth as business owners?
Yeah, I mean, we run it together, and then we have, kind of tried to find mentors. And I think the CCI team continues to be mentors for us. Michelle, Alicia, they're so supportive, and we still connect with them to pick their brains. But we've also, through that program, been able to find other mentors in the business world to kind of help guide us.
Who push us, kick our butts, keep us going.
Has this taken on full time, or is it still?
No, it's we still have our full-time jobs, and we're doing this as well. So it's continuing to grow, but it's been an interesting, I think, balance between working your full-time job during the day and then coming home and changing your hats.
Is that the ambition though? Is to make this your primary kind of
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're trying to push towards. I would love to be able to focus more of our energy and time on Feel Your Best Self.
So how do you guys approach that growth in terms of do you have a 3 or 5 year plan? What are the revenue goals that you're looking at?
Yeah, it's been really interesting because I think with our project, there are a variety of potential markets, right? We kind of, I think, started with the educational market specifically. There are 55 million elementary age kids in the United States. So that's a large number of, children and potential, customers. And we've slowly kind of been creating materials that teachers are requesting, things like storybooks, posters. And we're excited because this summer we're launching our first kind of facilitator bundle. So we want to make it even easier for teachers. They don't have to go to the website and pick and choose. They can get this bundle and they have those materials that we've been offering in addition to some exclusive materials. And that will hopefully kind of help us grow and be able to sell, more to districts and who can buy these bundles for kind of all of their elementary classrooms. But we also recognize the power and the importance of the commercial kind of family market. And so we do already sell to families directly on our website, and we do work with community organizations to go out into communities and let parents know about both our free toolkit and our commercial products. And our goal in the next coming months is to have a bundle that's specifically geared towards families. I think the biggest kind of growth potential in the near future has been early childhood education centers, daycares. We've been kind of really impressed with the interest from those educators because Feel Your Best Self is so easily kind of scaled down to younger ages or scaled up to older ages. And so a lot of those educators have been interested in the early childhood setting. So we're actually right now doing some research and development to kind of recreate a new toolkit and a new bundle for those daycare early childhood centers in the coming fall. And we think that growth potential is
in other words, you'll be singing those songs pretty soon.
Yeah.
All the time.
Oh, yeah.
On your way to work.
There will be songs in this bundle.
Yeah, everywhere in your life.
So how do you guys, when it comes to daycares and these early childhood centers, like what does that journey look like in terms of either like them finding you or, hearing about you, that customer acquisition process? And then Sandy, do you go through like a specific intake process to understand what the needs are and then develop any bespoke curriculum around that?
That's an interesting question. So a lot of it is word of mouth, certainly. So because we started outside of the business within this freemium space, we were able to build that initial customer base or awareness through people that are accessing it. I mean, we see our web analytics. We have this pretty robust email list that keeps on growing. We know we need to do things like build our social media strategy better. We know we need to do those things, and that's what we're do you? Yeah, and we know we need to dig into that. And certainly, I think we've also learned that we need to lean a lot more into our credibility, because we don't get out there and say, "Hey, you need to call me Dr. Sandy," right? That's not. I'm not that. We're not those type of people. We want to have fun and be accessible together. But I think it's really important for us to be able to push into that. So when we meet with people, we might suggest certain pieces of materials and products, but a lot of it is about just showing people how they can explore it. And it's amazing that emails we'll get from people all over the world about how they've taken what I would consider a core piece and gone out and done with it amazing things. And why they would email us, right? They email us and they send us pictures or videos of their kids doing things. And it's like, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Never thought about it doing it that way.
Yes, it does. Yeah. I think it, maybe me more so than Sandy, I'm still like, people are using it? Oh my gosh, like people like it, And
it's good stuff. But I'm
really
more
nice.
like, wow, they're doing this in North Carolina? Right?
Is there a standard, or does this fit into like those that are Montessori minded and, sort of, home educators or?
Absolutely. Again, so I think it's really important to talk about us as we didn't come out into building this as like, this is a set curriculum. You need to do this, pull this out and absolutely do this in this way. It's a flexible, which is also challenging then for us on the marketing side, right? It's a flexible toolkit that can be used in schools or in settings that already have other things in play or as their own kind of space. So because there's this creative exploration piece to it, discovery is all about what something like a Montessori model would be about. It fits. You still read storybooks in Montessori, and you're still learning about emotions and emotion coping, right?
Yep. Yeah, I know. I think I was thinking of just other communities, right, to sort of get traction and adoption and because my mind went to even like there's Etsy storefronts, right? That
Yep.
have
Yep.
Montessori toolkits and things like that. So,
Yep.
this is educational. It's sort of emotional coping, and it touches on a lot, like you said. So it feels like there's opportunities to sort of
how do
get
we figure
traction
it out?
in a bunch of different areas.
Yeah, I mean, I think we talk about the homeschool kind of setting a lot. It's kind of perfect for that, right? I like to think of Feel Your Best Self as a menu where you can pick and choose what works for you, and it's adaptable to both a home setting and a school setting. So I think it would be perfect for kind of the homeschool market as well.
Do you, in the risk of sort of selling out, right? Would it be more gratifying to continue to see growth and ultimately, be running a successful Feel Your Best Self, or to get acquired and incorporated into?
That's a really good question. So this past June, I actually was able to go to the licensing expo out in Vegas. Somebody suggested I go. So I was like, sure, I'll go check it out. And boy, my mind was blown. I didn't know. I mean, I guess this is your world, right? But I did not know or understand this entire world. And, we've always been very cautious about wanting to control everything. We own everything about the company. We own the trademark, all of those pieces around it. But I think we understand the value of being able to strategically partner and able to grow it in a way that we can then turn around and instill our values of making sure it's accessible to everybody in some way.
Like there's ways to commercialize this without losing the soul,
Yeah.
If you got that magic sauce, let us know.
Yeah, that would be really important to us, because I think, like Sandy was saying, this was not our initial idea. It really was to reach as many people as we could with this online toolkit and help. And I think it's been amazing to see the growth. And I think we're kind of curious to see what happens over the next couple of months with the release of these bundles before we kind of think about
and think
next steps.
I do think more strategically, because then in the end, what we can do with whatever that revenue is that comes out, or our portions of it, is give it back the way that we wanted to. So Emily did a really great job with some requests that we got from schools in LA coming out of the fires, and was able to turn around and pivot, and we donated materials, supplies, and time back to help some of those schools cope. I mean, that's what it's about right now.
Are you guys seeing, when it comes to the geographic dispersion of your customer base, are you seeing any particular trends right now where your customers are coming from?
That's funny because I don't know, analytics are a whole nother, I think it's some specialty of stuff, but we're certainly located in the Northeast as a primary place where we've done our own work, but we're all over the world. So just this past year, the Irish Department of Education has adopted Feel Your Best Self. And we've been having emails and conversations with them and how they use it with and give us tremendous feedback about how they're using it. You'll get a random person in Alabama.
Right. You can kind of tell what schools are, adopting it. It's fun. It could become obsessive to check the analytics.
Emily gets a little obsessive about analytics.
But, it's interesting because we heard, Ireland might be adopting it. And then slowly, Ireland is one of our top, countries of use right now. Or and a psychologist in Alabama is a really big supporter in her school district, and so Alabama will creep up there. So,
but then I'll get a phone call and Emily will be like, "Cleveland, why is Cleveland popping up now all of a sudden?"
Cleveland again.
I don't understand. Who do we know in Cleveland?
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
Well, and that's what's interesting. Sandy's talking about the freemium model. It's that a lot of our materials, our toolkit, is free to use, and people don't have to purchase them. So our website, it can be really kind of, who's using it, why, and they don't always tell us. And so it's interesting to try to track. People will often ask, who's using it, where, and that can be a little bit of a challenge with kind of the free materials.
Yeah,
so we're working on that part.
Yeah,
it's such a great model, I think, to have that loss leader approach, to give people the ability to understand, what the that universe looks like without having to pay for it, right? And it helps validate. And then, at that point, it's like, oh, I'd like to
say, hey,
continue.
I want to continue.
Right?
I want more. Yeah.
So, no, that's awesome.
Because it's not gated now, right?
No.
So
the YouTube channel, no.
Or even the materials. So it still could be free, but just
some of the materials, some not. Right.
Yeah.
It's
yeah. So a lot of our digital content, like lesson plans, things like that, are freely available. parent discussion sheets, I think, have been really important, right? So you can watch these videos at home, but how can parents engage with their kids and kind of have that co-learning experience? So we want to make sure that those are available, but all of like the physical materials people can purchase.
What's the scope of curriculum that you're considering?
Now or going forward?
I mean, going
Yeah.
forward, I suppose.
Yeah, so we're super excited. As we said, you're going to have the earworm songs coming out. In the fall, we'll be launching the dedicated or specific pieces for more of the early childhood, so 3 to 5. So I think Emily said before, we have 12 strategies that we have curated. Some of them are better for little kids. Some of them are high schoolers love. Like we never thought we'd be in a high school space, but high school and college picks up a bunch of it too. So we've kind of taken now what we think are the core of among those for the early childhood space and are building out more specific lesson plans, songs, animation videos, so shorter videos. Our current videos are about 4 or 5 minutes long when you watch the strategies. So we're creating more of shorts and that type of space.
Yeah,
And
when you get to
that'll
the
all be out.
parents, you want an hour. You want at least sit.
Oh, that's what we did all weekend, right?
Yeah.
Like this animation look or this animation look. We're back to the optometrist thing with our company that's helping us produce it.
What about like when you guys are thinking about marketing this and positioning it? You know, you have the academic and the fact-based elements that probably appeal to parents quite a bit, not so much to kids.
I was thinking about that. Like, what's the kid tested, mother approved?
Well done.
That's it.
Tyrant versus tyrant.
I branded my son.
Oh no, I think you branded yourself. You cover that.
I can handle that.
So
Do you think like are you kind of like purposely like approaching that message to market in kind of like that kid tested, mother approved way, or how are you doing it?
yeah, that's a good. Actually, that's a great strategy to think about as we launch the early childhood space. So everything that we've developed, we've done in concert with other educators or community providers, whoever we've done, like as we're putting things out. Some of them have written things for us and helped us kind of refine and go along. But I guess that messaging should probably be more clear to the family consumer audience.
Yeah, because
right?
I think when we think about kind of when we have our values, we say they're credibility, accessibility, joy, and creativity. And so I think the credibility we try to stress, and I think we're trying to stress more with our backgrounds. And then for us, like the creativity and joy is what's important, not only to the kids, but the parents too.
But I think it's interesting when you think about like what you just said, Sandy, about like being in partnership with the schools and the school systems. You know, that's probably a funnel point where it's like that's when the parents get to know you, right?
Yeah.
And so the freemium can be with the schools, but it could also be, but then the parents see it and then they become the customers.
And that's the back and forth, right? Because then the other value of creativity, right? Like, do the schools start to water down the creativity because they are asking for specific types of, modules?
That's
or
a good
learning?
question. It depends. I mean, I think for sure our most kind of asked for thing is an in-person type of workshop where Emily has been doing a lot of children's library programs or going into schools to do that. I will call her signature puppet building workshop, right? where kids are creating their own friends to then practice the strategies with and take home with them. And it's just amazing when you see them using their puppet in their conversations or journey or quests around emotions. It just elevates it to a whole new experience. So that makes sense.
What about like for instance with Ireland, you're starting with the very top in terms of the partnership because it's the governing body for all academic institutions for elementary age kids, right? Mm-hmm. So how does that work in terms of coordination with them, and then how does that filter down to the schools? And then the proximity issue, like, are you flying to Ireland to do?
I don't know, maybe. I mean,
No.
Someone wants to
Emily would love
sponsor
to.
our
That's her dream now. But no, that just started through email. So
Yeah.
I think some of their kind of the equivalent of what would be their mental health programming specialists had seen us do a presentation somewhere and emailed us out of the blue maybe a year later and said, hey, we're really looking for something. This fits a niche or a need that we need. And that's what we often hear. It fills something that's missing in what is currently available in schools. Can we use these materials? And so we've just had email exchanges back and forth for the most part. And then they've shared with us all of the feedback from their teachers around, what works really well, what do they need more of? And that's great because we were adapting to understand that already anyway, in terms of the early childhood space.
And do you guys have to kind of create a different type of commercial model when you're basically have an enterprise level client?
No, we're not that.
Yeah,
big.
we're not there. Yeah, I think we're not there. Well, I mean, yeah, that's it for us. It's interesting because we haven't shipped internationally just yet, and now they're starting to kind of inquire about products.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a next step for us. But yeah, we haven't been.
We brought things to Nicaragua.
That's true. Yeah, we got to go to
Really?
Nicaragua, and we get to bring some stuff to a school there. But
And so how does that impact like your supply chain? Like when it comes to international, I mean, ostensibly it's just higher rates for shipping.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what we're trying to explore right now. I mean, I think that has been a really big learning experience for me, kind of this whole sourcing, manufacturing, a lot of it's happening in my guest room in my house right now. We're still very small scale, and we're trying to kind of figure out how to grow that to a larger scale production so that we can meet the needs of, a larger and more international audience.
Right. And are there any kind of, like when you think about that international audience, do you guys is your approach to kind of like, let's see who's getting in touch, or do you guys like?
Yeah.
But
definitely at that point right now, because our focus is really on the kind of U.S. markets and particularly the Northeast, where we can be more accessible as needed for now.
Yeah, and I mean, a big part of it, I think, Sandy mentioned earlier, I think word of mouth is strongest for us, which is tricky. But honestly, when people see us present or they get to make a puppet with me, it sells it. And so we are trying to get out there more. We're about to go to a conference right now in Portugal.
We're leaving in a few hours.
Yeah. And that's the same conference where the Department of Education in Ireland found us. So for us, these are big opportunities to be able to show people around the world kind of what Feel Your Best Self is, how easy it is to use, and how adaptable it is to all these different educational settings and different countries.
Are you exhibiting there?
No, we'll just do presenting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I'll get to make some puppets.
But
for
our
some
presentations are always like not just didactic. Let's get up and let me be a psychologist and tell you what you need to do. We do a lot of like breakdown groups and talking about how would you adapt this? How would you use it? And we take all that feedback. What do you need more of? The last time we did the international conference, actually, they told us more languages. But right now we can only do Spanish and English.
Yeah. I think that, the credibility piece that you guys mentioned, I think, is key, and something in my brain just kind of keeps going back to the background that you're leveraging to create the curriculum. I bet you there's something there that you can apply, not in a negative way, but to sort of ensure a parent or a school that, the child will resonate with it, right? Whether it's color theory or the tone in voices, or has to be elements there that that can tie into that credibility piece, because I think that's always like the worry, or for parents, I know it's like, okay, try this, and it's like, no, they just want more of whatever that they just saw, and it's like we're watching the same thing over and over again. So even trying to get into that next program, right? Like how the hell I don't even know how we found Whoopi from Rachel.
Well,
Rachel,
and
right?
it's like as a parent, like you're kind of watching it to kind of like vet it, right?
Right.
But it's
Does it
still
fit
like
for me?
I can't tell. I'm like, is this just some kind of like opiate, or is this actually good for the kids?
Yeah.
No, but really, like I
What's
I
gonna work
fundamentally
anyway, no.
Either one will take your attention.
it makes no like rhyme or reason, right? And it's because Miss Rachel, right? Like Ben's a little bit older now, but like first time like Blake saw it, she just like and like didn't blink. We're like, can you like you have to blink?
Get the eye drops.
But it is just a straight addict, So
I mean, it's interesting because there is a little bit of that theory behind puppetry, or you do kind of see people wonder, why do kids around the world connect with Sesame Street and the Muppets? And they've done studies to show kind of how important puppetry can be in these like educational videos, educational settings. And so I think you see that with our three friends. Like you start to believe that they are like little Feel Your Best Self friends, and I think there's a little bit of a magic to that.
Yeah, definitely. And the way the stories were built too is like you living between your everyday world of, you know, I'm stressed in this situation, or I don't know how to navigate this, and then going into your imaginary world. So we kind of go back and forth on that in our stories.
So how do you guys approach that from like the content creation point of view and like the stories you're actually telling? Like, is it you kind of like getting guidance from Sandy in terms of like, you know, hey, here are the 3 critical, you know, emotional intelligence things that we need to stress.
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit of both.
It was a
It's
team
everything.
effort. Like we had multiple people, you know, Sandy's team had these strategies originally, but then they kind of revamped them to give them kind of fun names, shake out the yuck, you know, grounded down, things like that to make it a little bit more interesting. And then we kind of, I think, sat around our table on Zoom and really kind of thought about what will kids relate to? Like I can't
Lots
remember.
of paper mapping.
Yeah, I
lots
was
of
like
stuff.
texting my teacher friends, do kids still do puzzles? Do kids do
Right.
like, you know,
Yeah,
what would upset a child, you know, and we kind of just sat there and thought through it. And it was just a lot of kind of going back and forth and editing.
It
Yeah,
seems like
and-
whoops, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I would say I think the most recent example is we talked about a new product that we just put out in our bundle. It's called the FYBS Quest game. So it's a strategy game where you pull a card, you know, think of like an Uno game or something where you have, we pull a strategy and then you pull what we call a situation card. And so those situations are like everyday situations that might annoy you, right? But we have, you know,
Could annoy BJ too.
we picked the scenarios or the situations. We wrote them for older kids and for younger kids because we had examples, for example, that our 5th grade classrooms would watch the videos and say, well, that would never happen to us, but we would do it this way or have this situation that would be stressful for us that we need to navigate. So Emily and I spent a long time as we were kind of revising these scenarios to fit across different settings and different spaces for different ages to build them in a developmentally appropriate way. Because as we said before, little kids can use these strategies all the way up to big kids and bigger kid grown-ups as well.
You know, the card-based, like, kids Cards Against Humanity. It's like, I get really pissed when sister steals my, and then it's like truck.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, total
That's
car.
exactly it. We should have brought the game to play today.
Yeah,
Actually,
play it
that
right
would have
now,
been fun.
Cards Against Humanity. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
And like even within that too, it's a conversation with some educators and some families about, do you want that game to be a competitive play or cooperative play, right? So we chose to, in the actual deck, have it be more of a cooperative play example, but then we have a QR code to go online to see lots of different ways that you could play it either competitively or cooperatively. So you have to have choice.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I'll say this. I just think it's like, there's a bit of magic, I think, between the combination of you guys in terms of like evidence backed.
We're so magical.
Well, it's cool because you have evidence backed like approaches to like emotional stability and wellness, and but you needed a vehicle
Yeah.
to actually reach the kids.
Absolutely.
You know, and you found that in Emily and what she's doing. I think that's just like, that's a special combination. I think that makes a good business work.
It's definitely magical because anytime I talk to my school psychology friends that are in private practice or working there, you know, how much more fun is it to like learn this strategy through this mechanism rather than me telling you how to do belly breathing or how to shake out the yuck. It's just more fun.
Yeah.
Are there 1 or 2 things that when you have talked about what the future, like, you know, how to scale or what the next steps are that, you know, are focused on? I mean, some of it is what's coming and how do you then react, but if you could chart your own next steps, have you guys talked about what, you know, you'd like to do? Is it adding, you know, headcount to go out and meet with some of these school districts? Is it production for more videos online? Or, I mean, you know, or
I'm not sure we're going to do production of more videos online the way that is, but we are doing the animated shorts. So that's a different way of doing the strategies. I think it's the former more than the latter, because again, our biggest challenge is our size right now. It's great that we own everything, but it's also a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah. I mean, control of over your domain versus, you know, seeing it flourish is always a conundrum, right?
What about like the 1 or 2 things that kind of keep you up at night? Each one of you.
Emily was up.
It could be more, it could be more than one
What
or
do you
two.
think keeps me up at night?
Emily was up last night trying to figure out how to pack everything in her
in
suitcase
my
because we're
suitcase,
about
yes.
to head out to.
Do I think TSA is going to pull me aside? Yes, because I have
because she has eyeballs in her suitcase. You know.
Yeah.
socks, everything to make
yeah.
puppets is my suitcase.
No,
I
I'm
think
just kidding.
we try to we work very collaboratively, but I think we also are trying more and more to divide and conquer. So I handle a lot of the kind of production side and shipping and manufacturing, and so I would say that keeps me up quite a bit. The amount of time I've spent thinking about what adhesive is best for puppet kits, that how to make it easy for teachers to use and not use hot glue has taken up a lot of my brain space. So I think, especially not coming from a business background, it's been a learning experience, but really fun to kind of have to learn this whole new world of production and kind of thinking about what will work best for our customers.
Yeah, and I would add to that for you too. It's the balance of trying to decide on sourcing responsibly and ethically too. So right now, all of our printing is done in the U.S.
Here in Connecticut.
Here in Connecticut.
Awesome.
We've got it to reasonable costs now, but that was a challenge when we first started out and trying to figure that out. And I stay up at night because I'm technically, I guess, the CFO, and I'm trying to think about efficiency, scale and efficiency. And she's laughing because I'm always like, "You need to be faster at this.
Cut the costs.
Cut it down. Stop worrying about which choice. Just pick one." So that's me.
But I think that's how we balance each other out, right?
Oh,
For me, Sandy has been an amazing mentor and collaborator, and I would have never been able to kind of do this type of project on my own because I get in my head and I overthink and I'm too scared to make a choice because I don't want it to be the wrong one.
And I do cliff jumping at times.
So she's been kind of, it's nice to see how we can balance each other out and then also push each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Do you see that the licensing conversation becoming more prominent?
I think so. I mean, I always tell the story, but sometimes people don't like telling the story about how we came out of a school one day and we went back a while later, and one of the girls in the second graders showed us how she made T-shirts with her mother with all of our puppet characters because she just fell in love with them and made all of her own books and all the things. And that's exactly what we want, right? So we want kids to ask us where the plushies are and ask us where all those things are, but figure out how do we do that.
Because there is that element of it could be really compelling and effective series that are in school or used by parents, and it becomes a utility versus a culture, right? And you want, I assume, to walk through Target and someone want to buy a T-shirt with CJ on it, right? And that's.
And wouldn't you rather have it say "Feel Your Best Self" rather than some of the other things you see? Right? I mean, that's the thing is people can't argue with "Feel Your Best Self." They get it. They think it's catchy. It's cool. They want to know more. So let's make it out there.
And I think we're still a little bit early to license. I know that's kind of some of the feedback, you got, and it's good to start thinking about it. I think for me, I'm really excited to kind of see what the bundles bring. If we're able to get that larger traction with school districts and with family organizations, and then kind of how that could lead to some licensing opportunities.
Yeah.
Well, with the animated series or, I'm saying, more content, but, that's discovery, so just,
exactly.
And I think it's a double-edged sword. It's they're short, so they're probably have higher attention span, when they're watching, but then they go through it much quicker. So, it's, I even know, in our household, the Bluey shorts and the, Cars shorts is just
Lots.
you just keep, but once they're 4 minutes and they're on to the next thing. So it's if you have them stuck longer, then you can keep them in the ecosystem a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I was wondering, just when it comes to growth, are you guys, is the plan just to kind of do it in a bootstrapped way? We're going to grow as the business grows organically, or?
Well, that's one of those conversations we have up late at night over a drink at times, right? Do we continue to bootstrap or do we need to do something else? And I don't know that we have landed on a particular specific answer. Depends on the night.
How comfortable or uncomfortable are you guys with outside investment and then an equity split with a third party?
I think we're getting to the point
Yeah.
where we realize that for us to be able to scale the way we want to, we will need to do that.
Yeah.
But it's about finding the right partner for us again that stays true to our mission
Mhm.
and our values.
And do you guys have you modeled out like what that figure would be and what that it would unlock in the end for you?
To be honest with you, we did that back in the CCI days, right?
Mhm.
The CCI days feel like forever ago, but it wasn't. But when we finished that program, we were just trying to get launched, right?
Mhm.
Like, so it was amazing for us to be able to launch the business because we did win that prize money. And so just working on the products and the content and all those other things have kept us really busy to the point where we now can say, okay, now Emily, how are we going to be more efficient? What do we need to do? So we would go back to redoing our.
Reassess, yeah.
Is it cash flow positive yet?
I think,
Yes.
yeah.
Barely.
Yeah, barely, yeah.
Yes, because we're very lean.
Yeah.
We're not paying ourselves at this,
Right.
at this point. So I think literally our biggest cost is our insurance.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, and again, we don't have a storage space or a storefront. So we're very lean.
Yeah.
Emily's laughing because sometimes she's like,
It takes up my house.
right?
Yeah.
So like we're positioned to do a lot in different directions. It's just we need to decide where we need to go and who's the right partner to do that with.
And
Yeah, it's like that. You mentioned Shark Tank earlier, right? But it's that the next step is a big step, right?
It's a
Yeah.
big
like
step.
it's it's a warehouse, it's an office space, it's employees, it's production, and that's obviously capital intensive.
Yeah.
You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
and depending upon where that capital comes from, it could have certain interests or directions that it would prefer to go in, right, or want to take you. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And what about like obviously like this is part of a competition for shaping CT's future. And you guys are a young Connecticut-based startup. Like, what are your thoughts about the entrepreneurial ecosystem just here in the state, and what it's afforded you in terms of support and networks, but also like, what is it that you would like to see in terms of support for other small startup businesses?
I mean, I think for us, like, we wouldn't exist without CCEI. Like, that program and the programs that they introduced us to are why we're able to exist. And to have those crash courses in business was amazing for us, like.
And the networks and the connections to like small business centers,
Even like pro bono lawyer hours, like we were able to really get a lot of resources that were able to help us kind of start to figure things out. And it's been amazing to kind of learn about the entrepreneurial environment in Connecticut and how supportive everyone is of each other.
Jen and Michelle and Alicia are going to love that soundbite.
Oh, good. Because we mean everything.
There are a lot of opportunities and a lot of resources, and it's hard to navigate.
Yeah.
I have to say too. So like CCI helps you learn how to navigate or think through or wade through, like, is this a good decision to pursue or not? Or have you connected with this group because I think they could really help you, all that stuff. Because if you just opened up, Googled start a small business in Connecticut, it's really overwhelming.
Well, I think like we've seen that there's a healthy support network for early stage and startups, through these through many different communities, CCI being one of them. But it feels like there's many businesses like yours that are just on the sort of doorstep of the next step. And that's where they seem to be struggling in Connecticut. And maybe that's just from sort of the outside looking in, but they kind of have all the resources to get you to,
Well, what's next?
what's next,
but not that influx of cash or that scale or whatever it may be that really is sort of the next piece.
I would agree. Like it was amazing to win the Wolf New Venture Fund, and then it's kind of like, and now what? And to have to leave CCI, but luckily they've continued to be supportive, and I think we try to, like Sandy was saying, you kind of look through to see what organizations will be helpful. We've been working, with the Women's Business Development Center here in Connecticut, and they've been really
great with
great.
some of the financial pieces,
Yeah.
like when you're stuck in QuickBooks and you can't figure it out.
Like I literally just was able to meet with
You
someone
get
to have
on
her.
and somebody helps you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where are they based?
They
all
have
over.
New London and Hartford locations, but it's a lot of online content too. So they have online classes, online webinars that you can watch after the fact. So like just discovering these and then kind of filtering through to see which ones are the right fit for what I need has been really great.
Yeah, I think that's certainly a struggle too, because when you have limited time and you're sorting through all these different options, like sometimes we have done things where we're like, well, that wasn't that helpful, right? But it's like, okay, so how do we scale efficiently with the right partners at the right time and find the right resources?
It could be like hacking
If you
through a
could create
jungle,
that
right?
magic,
Yeah.
sauce, that'd be
Well,
great.
I mean, we can't guarantee that we can create it, but I think that's part of what we're hoping to create an environment for this, next event. And even through this, conversation is really bringing some more of the quote unquote angels or private equity
What's next?
companies and
that's
some, some investors and some additional businesses that may have opportunities to partner, right? Where
that would be
there's
lovely.
a 2 + 2 = 5 type,
Exactly.
scenario.
Yeah, because if you think about it, again, the CCI program is amazing, but it's a fire hose, right? So when they set up a couple of sessions on what are different types of investing, and you meet some people, you're kind of not ready to think about that yet, unless you've been in the business world. For at least for us, we weren't ready for that because of where we were in our stage in our business.
It's just like
So-
basic training.
so
almost
now we
when
got to
you're
go to like
right?
Exactly.
2.0.
Yeah.
Right? What's next?
And so you're probably like navigating it, understanding like really what the implications of some of those choices are.
Yeah.
Sometimes we watch Shark Tank and we'll just take the deal because 13% versus 15% of nothing is
nothing.
Yeah.
But in others, it
Right.
it is well worth standing their ground. So
Yeah.
And you can see that on
Yeah.
Shark Tank, right? That's what's cool, right?
Yeah.
To kind of sort of watch that and think like, what's behind all of that. But we're proud of what we've done so far, and we would love to be able to say that we are now positioned after, again, a year of being able to play with this business and get it out and move the products and learn all of the different channels that need to be kind of massaged. I usually say I feel like we're actually in a Cirque du Soleil thing, like I'm the spinning plate lady. It's like, how many plates can you keep spinning all at once? You can't let any of them drop, but they can't all spin equally at the same time when you're small. So now we need some extra plate spinners.
Hopefully, like this series that we're doing for the podcast, the fact that we're going to be putting it on Fox, that we'll be sharing content with you. Like this is an unfiltered kind of raw look at like this is where we are as business owners. This is what we need, and hopefully that'll reach the right people. Both at the event, but also with the content going out to the broader digital.
Well, we're counting on you.
Yeah. We're going to do our best.
I think that's where we can turn the mic back to you now.
Yeah. So just to kind of, who wants to give the final, or maybe it's jointly, but like the elevator pitch. What is so meaningful and unique, and what's the impact that Feel Your Best Self will create when it gets to the next level through funding or through growth?
The next level. So this is the actual pitch, huh?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So, we've talked a lot about all these pieces. If we're going to put it all together, we just talk about how big feelings are really hard, right? Emotions are a roller coaster for both kids and their caregivers. And there's so much stuff out there, as you've all said, like what's right, what's wrong. And honestly, none of it is really very simple or very fun. And so that's what we get at Feel Your Best Self. We are about bringing the credible fun to learning about emotions and emotion coping through our tools. And we offer a variety of options at different price points, because that's very important to us as we grow in bringing credible fun to learning about emotions and emotion coping. And we're excited for the next stages.
Love it.
You want a longer one?
No.
That was perfect.
I think that warrants the 120 million blip you got, you guys.
Oh,
There you go. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you both.